Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of what is, at least for now, an unnamed podcast. My name is Daniel Boismore, your host. And I was gonna call this podcast The Wisdom of the Sages because I'm really passionate about sharing the wisdom from the different spiritual traditions across the planet and also the wisdom my own teachers taught me. And it also comes through me through presence spontaneously that I love to share. And then I saw that some wonderful two gentlemen already have a podcast with that name. And so for now, it's an unnamed podcast, but I still felt inspired just to record and do it because I really believe in this philosophy of kind of like shoot, ready, aim kind of thing. Like, just if I feel inspired to do something, I do it and I let things improve and go over time. And really, this podcast is being recorded for about 2 to 3 main reasons, maybe more, we'll see. And one of those is just for my own healing. Having gone through trauma, CPTSD, etc., I've been really conditioned, as I've been seeing more and more, to be concerned with what people think of what I say. And it's not like a rational, logical thing. It's something really in my nervous system where my nervous system can kind of contract when it worries that what I say may not land well with other people or may be judged. And it's this kind of a survival mechanism where there's a belief that it's not safe to express my voice if other people don't like it. And I've been told more and more in my life, both by people that I guide and teach, and both, you know, by different people and astrology readers and friends, that I have a real gift with speaking and sharing my voice. And the way I speak resonates with people, can touch their heart, can inspire them, but also can be really clear and make sense in their mind. So that's a real gift I've been born with. Yet I have this fear of sharing my voice, or not a fear really, but this something limiting how I share my voice, contracting it. Less about sharing it, but more about what I share, what I don't share, how I share it. And this podcast is one of the reasons I'm starting it. Is an excuse for me to practice sharing my voice, my message, and just allowing myself to feel more and more comfortable sharing and learning what is my authentic message to humanity, what is my own authentic message and voice sound and look and feel like. So I'm really grateful, no matter how many people will end up listening to this, to just share like that and express. And the other thing I'm excited about in this podcast is to share stories from my life. And this is part of my own practicing my voice, but it's also part of my healing and integrating my own spiritual process by just sharing and being super, super honest about my own life experience, my own spiritual experience. I'm almost 27. I've been on the spiritual path for a decade now, a bit more, I think. At least if we count this lifetime, but we might get into talking about other lifetimes on that. And yeah, it's been an amazing journey. And I know that for me, hearing other people's stories about their own journeys really helped validate mine, really helped inspire mine, inform mine. And so one of the things I'm really excited to do here is just to share my stories with people. Again, selfishly, beautifully selfishly, for understanding myself more and my own process and integrating it. And also to share with people, because maybe my stories could help you and touch you and validate you. So it's a real gift. And, maybe also I'll add, like, this is my job to help people in their spiritual journeys, whether coaching one on one or in groups. And so maybe some of these stories will touch you and will you'd want to learn more of what I have to teach and share and the tools that have helped me and I help people with. And then it's also would allow this opportunity for us to connect and maybe for me to serve you at a deeper level. and connection, service are things that are really amazing and valuable for me. So, and the third thing that comes to mind is, this will be a lot of solo episodes, but I also want to interview people. And it's really, this podcast is an excuse for me to have conversations with really interesting people and have these fascinating mind consciousness expanding conversations. So I'm excited to invite people that I think are really wise and really inspire me and that could inspire you, the viewers, and have these really in-depth, rich conversations with them. So this is all why I'm doing it. All of it is very selfish, and I know that really we have this belief about being selfish. And honestly, I think the most selfish things we do from love, I'm not talking about when people do selfish things from fear, like hoarding their possessions and manipulating. No, not that. That's fear. But when we do selfish things from love, really, they're not selfish. They are what is the best for everyone, because love helps people thrive. So my love for myself is creating this, and I know that this love will um, carry on to you. So I'm excited about it. And this will be one of many episodes. And what I want to talk about today is introduce myself, because some of you, I reckon most people will be listening to this down the line, and they might want to learn more about me, and so they'll go back to this episode and see how it all started. Because I have a feeling, and I don't really know, but inspiration in my heart is kind of telling me this will be this long-term project that I'm inspired to do. So let's take a few breaths, and then I'll happy to share about me. But let's just allow ourselves to be present and noticing our breath for a few moments first. Just noticing the in and out breath. Yeah, so I want to say thank you for listening. And yeah, sharing about any life journey is a huge thing to do, because life is so immaculate and infinite and diverse. But if I were to share some things about myself, is that I am from Israel. I was born in Tel Aviv, Israel. I currently live in Israel. I was born in 1999. 1999, 28th of May, in Tel Aviv, Israel, to a beautiful family. And my spiritual path started when I was 17, when I entered this really deep depression and really considered ending my life because I was in such deep suffering. And I'm kind of reminded of the Kendrick Lamar album "To Pimp a Butterfly," for those of you who know it, where he ends his a lot of his songs in that album. He finishes with a story of him going through a deep depression and feeling that he's gonna self-destruct, and he's and the evils of Lucy, like the evils of Lucifer, are all around him, and he's just kind of in this darkness. And funny enough, I was listening to the album at the time of my depression, and it really touched me, because that's how I experienced a lot of it. Not maybe the reference of the Lucifer and that kind of language I didn't have, but this real darkness inside me, fear of self-destruction, and really considering ending my life, and at the same time really being scared that I'll make this stupid move of ending my life. And all of that really started because early on in my life, first I was born into a family that has a lot of unprocessed trauma, like many of us are, I want to acknowledge, and without even knowing it. And whether it's my grandmother being a Holocaust survivor and losing her father and most of her family, or my grandfather from Iraq coming to Israel after suffering from pogroms, which are like massive massacres of Jewish people there. What is just the fact that, yeah, until like 50 years ago, 60 years ago, humanity weren't really in touch with their emotions by and large, and it was a very strict, harsh culture. Still is to this day, but I feel like in some levels that it's improving, some not. And my mother had a lot of anxiety that I kind of inherited, and my father had a lot of fears and insecurities that I kind of inherited. But they really loved me and were really caring parents, the best they could, with their own emotional issues, and we have a great connection. And when I was 4, I suffered this really major trauma of sexual abuse in kindergarten, by one of the people there, and the adults there, and I have very very vague memories of it, but from what I can tell, it was on and off for about a year that I was there, and I kept it all to myself and really repressed it, and I completely repressed it that I forgot about it until I was 22 or 21. 21. Yeah, I was 21, I think, or 20. I don't recall. One of those ages. I really repressed it till then. And but I had this heaviness that I carried, and this kind of, heavy feelings. And when I was teenager, I started to develop this massive depression, and had depression on and off for 5 years. And then when I was 17, I actually had this Kundalini Awakening. For those of you who know what is Kundalini energy, can talk about it in further episodes, but it's just energy that sits at the base of the spine and kind of the root chakras, which is really it's the sexual energy, but you can also think of as life force. And the Kundalini Awakening is when this energy rushes through the spine. Instead of it being kept down, it actually goes up through the spine and can reach all the way to our crown chakra, which is kind of considered a very, especially in the yogic tradition, a very important aspect of spiritual awakening, is this Kundalini rising. And I had this Kundalini awakening, and it's a crazy story how it happened, which I won't get into now, but it got me to this really state of bliss for a few months of peace that I've never experienced, and kind of love for people. But as it happens for a lot of people with Kundalini awakenings, you have a lot of unprocessed trauma. A few months later, I really got into this kind of dark night of the soul, and after I felt that I kind of got free of my depression, it got worse. It actually was very very extreme suffering, and I started to have all these unexplained thoughts and images in my mind. These very very dark thoughts and images. Again, we can get to in other episodes about what those were. And it's really really terrible experience, really dark, and I had no idea at the time of the CPTSD and the trauma I've went through yet, so it made no sense to me why it was coming up. And yeah, it was so hard. It felt like my mind is just attacking me. Maybe some of you have experienced that, what it's like when your mind is just attacking you, and it was really terrible. um, So I really thought about killing myself for a long time, and I kind of made this pact, internal pact, where either I figure out how to get out of this suffering in a year, or I'm going to end it. And the reason I didn't end it is because I experienced such bliss and joy for a few months beforehand that something in me kind of knew, hey, wait, something else is possible. Like, I've experienced it. And it wasn't just about the outside world. It was something inherent in me that was very happy and peaceful. So maybe there's a way I can get back to that. And that was a major point in my spiritual path, maybe when it began, you can say, or when it kind of took this official journey into practice, like really a spiritual practice. Um, and I ended up on this really incredible journey over the last decade, by now. Undoing the trauma and also learning about who I am, what I am, not as just in this intellectual spiritual theory, but as direct experiences that are beyond the kind of normal mind. You know what? Maybe if any of you were Carlos Castaneda readers, you know what's called their like, um, God, it's called their like abnormal reality experience, non-ordinary reality experiences. I think it's how it's called. So these non-ordinary reality experiences that really expanded my mind, my soul into what I am, and got me to this point in the past 5, 6 years of teaching and guiding people on their spiritual paths, whether it's one-on-one coaching and therapy or groups that I have and facilitate and retreats, and really seeing people having these amazing changes by supporting them, which has been amazing for me because what I care about is helping people be happy and to thrive and not live in fear, but really find their authenticity and their truth and live by that and their true nature. And this podcast is about me doing the same and my journey, which is an ongoing path, really improved. Really, my life experience is really amazing most of the time. And at the same time, you know, I find this blockage with how I express myself that led me to decide and kind of be led and inspired for different reasons to open this podcast. And so this episode is short, and I don't know how other ones would be. And other ones would have these different topics and things. But this one is about sharing about me and my path and what I do and why I'm opening this. So maybe people down the line would listen and kind of be touched and know more about me and my story as a general summary, because you'll learn a lot more by listening to other episodes. And so I'll just want to finish this podcast with a beautiful Sanskrit prayer of mine. Not of mine, the prayer that I love. It's not mine. It's very ancient. And thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time. And I hope this helps you in your journey. So, Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotiye Gamaya Mityo Ma Amritam Gamaya. Oh, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Lead us from the real to the real, from the darkness to the light. Lead us from the temporary to the eternal. Om, peace, peace, peace. Thank you. Peace be with you, and may this inspire you in your life as well. Kisses. Still the Unnamed Podcast, Daniel.